Howie Roseman likes to make off-season trades, and if the Pittsburgh Steelers get into trade negotiations, the Eagles are going to swoop in and take that rookie away for 2 years. That's going to be absolutely cheap. We're going to be talking about Bryce Huff as well because we finally have an update on him, and it looks like the Eagles might be moving on from him. And we're going to be talking about who is really running this offense. And we might have gotten a little bit of background information on what's really going on with the 2025 Eagles. So let's get straight into it all.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? The performance having a fantastic day today. Hope everyone's enjoying their work week. A lot to discuss for the Philadelphia Eagles today. We have one more day of Eagles OTAs, and then we have to wait until another week or two until minicamp. But there's always things happening in the background with Howie Roseman, always with trades, there's always that one move that he does make. Last year was, Jahan Dotson, and then maybe a couple years before that, it was, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So there's a lot to discuss here. Now, I'm going to be talking about a trade the Eagles could make, which could help us for this year and could help us for another year as well, because a rookie could be available here. Now, it looks like the Pittsburgh Steelers are in trade talks with the Miami Dolphins. The Steelers want to trade for Jonnu Smith, one of their tight ends. He needs a rework deal. Looks like Miami might not give the rework deal to him, and the Steelers might want to make a trade there. If the Steelers make that trade, okay, what is going to happen with Darnell Washington? 6'7", 230, great blocker, not as athletic as Dallas Goedert, but as a number 2 tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles this year. Wouldn't be a bad idea, because just think of it. You have literally nobody after this year. Thank God they retained Dallas Goedert, because if they didn't, I would say go after this trade 100%. I'm still saying go after this trade 100%. But Calcaterra is a free agent. Granson's a free agent. The kid from the Raiders is a free agent. So you have, your whole entire tight end core right now is completely gone after this season. You have no tight ends. And with the draft next year, 12 picks in that draft, could make some trades right now, can afford to give away nothing more than a 3rd-round pick for Darnell if they're willing to give that up. Realistically, if you look at the contract for Darnell Washington, it's pretty cheap. 1.4 million against the cap for 25, 1.7 against the cap for 2026, and it's very cheap. And you have the option. You sign him this year, and you can realistically go into next season and say, hey, we already have Darnell Washington, and most likely they could they could move up in the draft and draft a tight end high with the 12 picks that they have. And that's another option that they could make, where I feel like a tight end will be a big need next year. I think Darnell Washington could start for you in games, and he could be a reliable backup, and the Eagles can use him to do some of the dirty work with that big frame that he has and some of his blocking skills. So I think this is one of the perfect more trades they could make, because it helps you for another 2 years. And the Eagles have 2 third-round picks next year. Okay, they have the Hassan Reddick conditional pick, which I kind of would keep that pick just because I feel like the Jets are going to be pretty bad. So I feel like that 3rd-round pick might be high. So if I'm giving away the Eagles 3rd-round pick, I think that's the pick I might want to give away when it comes to a trade like this. If Pittsburgh gets into some trying to trade scenario, which it's been all over the news yesterday, with this trade negotiations with Miami, and it could happen unless the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting Jonnu Smith just because they want to have a nice double tandem there at tight end. If that's what they want to do, are they known for doing that? I guess so in some cases, but you never know how things might change, and Darnell Washington might be kind of off the board. And they're not going to pay him in 2 years. So, you can give a call to the Steelers and say, look, I know, he's on the roster. You have him for 2 more years, but are you going to pay him? Because we are willing to keep him for another 2 years, and, we'll see what happens with him. Let me know what you guys think about a Darnell Washington trade, because I think it's a really good idea. Well, Bryce Huff. We've been trying to figure out what's been going on, and it looks like there's a lot more news coming out of Bryce Huff. We heard from the second day of OTAs, or first day of OTAs, that he did not warm up with the team. So I don't know if he even practiced. I'm still trying to figure out if he even practiced at OTAs. But Jeff McClain came out with some news, obviously. Says Bryce Huff wasn't at Tuesday's Eagles OTAs. In fact, the defensive end hasn't been to any voluntary workouts this spring, per NFL source. A lot of these guys don't have to show up to voluntary workouts. It's voluntary for a reason, okay? But when a player doesn't show up after the specific season that he had last year, and remember that news that came out about Bryce Huff at the end of the the end of the 24 season, when he said he was walking around the complex angry and he was mad at himself and it affected his game. And, I mean, if you can't handle Philadelphia, it's a red flag already. And if that's the case, he needs to go. Because if he's just affected by, I mean, he's barely playing games and he's mentally a head case right now. And if that's the case, then I don't know what you do with him. I mean, $17 million a year. This was just a bad signing. If I don't say much bad things about Howie Roseman as of recent, but that was definitely a bad signing. So that's just what it is. And, it happens. Howie Roseman's not perfect, but it was a panic move to sign him, and because Reddick was traded and they didn't know what to do. And I don't even think Fangio even likes him either. I mean, he comes last offseason in the program by training camp. Fangio has his first press conference in training camp, and pretty much someone asked him, well, can Bryce Huff be a 3-down edge rusher? And he said he's not there yet. So guys getting paid $17 million a year, and even your own DC doesn't even think he's ready to take on a lot of snaps. So that really shows you. And then after everything that happened, the 1.5 sacks he had the minor wrist surgery at the end of the year so they can have him for the playoffs. They didn't even play him. They get into the Super Bowl, and the rumor was that Brandon Graham was coming back, and they rather have started a 37-year-old edge rusher over Bryce Huff, and Bryce Huff was a healthy scratch for the Super Bowl, okay? I think it's a big mistake that he's not showing up for voluntary workouts. Like, he doesn't need to be there. Bro, like, you're getting paid a lot of money and you didn't have a good season last year. You need to get into a groove, or maybe he's already getting traded. Maybe that's the reason why. Maybe he's not showing up to voluntary workouts because he's already gone. Maybe his agent's telling him, well, they're trying to trade you right now, blah, blah, blah. It hasn't hit the papers yet, hasn't hit the news yet, hasn't hit the media yet. Who knows what's going on? But if he's not showing up to voluntary workouts, I would have to say that they're trying to get a deal done, and he feels like he's just wasting his time coming to the facility. Unless he just doesn't give a crap and he doesn't feel like working out with the team, then I don't know. Because a lot of these players, especially with the Philadelphia Eagles, they always show up to voluntary workouts. It's very rare that a lot of guys don't show up. But if you don't show up, there's a specific reason, whether it's a personal reason, whether it's something else, I don't know. But this is kind of going to speculate towards he's already out the door. And there's all this third-party news coming out now that Bryce Huff the Eagles are moving on. And I don't think Fangio even wanted him. I think Howie Roseman was in a panic mode to sign him, and Fangio was just like, I'll see what I could do with him, but I can't promise anything. So that's pretty much where we're at with Bryce Huff and that situation in general. And we're getting close to June 1st as is right now. One more day or 2 more days, whatever the case may be. And, now we're going to find out the trades that go down. And if the Eagles are, in fact, trying to move him, take the dead cap, take, whatever you got to take at this point. Just keep drafting well. I don't care about dead cap. Just keep drafting well and you'll be good to go. And keep producing these guys as coaches. That's all I care about. So that was the Bryce Huff news as of right now. Now, we heard some news on LaShawn McCoy on the facility. Now, who's running the Philadelphia Eagles offense? What is the secret ingredient? That apparently it's not the offensive coordinators. Apparently it's not the head coach. And of course, they're going to be involved. But this is what LaShawn McCoy said. He says, A.J. Brown told him that Jalen Hurts runs the Eagles offense, not the OC. A.J. told me, well, players tell me the offense is the offense. They don't care who the coordinator is. You come over here and fit the Jalen Hurts offense. So, I mean, yes, you're going to have a system around your quarterback that's going to make your quarterback get into a groove, and it's created around him to what goes with his strength of his skill set, if that's what it's meant to be. LaShawn McCoy said it was A.J. Brown that said, oh, sorry, not A.J. Brown, player. So obviously A.J. Brown told him some things. I understand that the Eagles let, Jalen Hurts, have control at the line of scrimmage, could change the plays when he wants. But Is he really in that room throughout the week getting prepared to face a specific team? Is he involved in play calling, what they should run, what they should do? And look, if this is the new thing that's happening, I really can't complain about it. I mean, the Eagles last year before the bye week, they were what, 2-2. Their offense didn't, they looked a little stale. Part of it is that they were coming out of preseason, barely playing any games, knocking the rust off in the regular season when the season starts. And that's really tough. And this year, they're going to have to really try harder because you're facing 3, 4 juggernaut playoff teams besides Dallas when you come out of 4 to 5 weeks of the season. So they really need to be on their game. Getting into that first game as a practice run against Dallas at home, and then really having to strap on the next 3, 4 weeks facing ex-playoff teams from last year. So I think it's really important. You know what I mean? So we saw during the bye week that Jalen Hurts was talking to Nick and got really involved in what they need to be doing. That, the bye week, they were not even off during the bye week. They were still working during the bye week. Jalen Hurts was very involved in trying to change things with this offense and running the ball more with Saquon. Even the offensive lineman went to Nick Sirianni and said, yo, we need to run the ball with Saquon Barkley. Like, this is all news. This is all factual news that came out last year during that bye week or a couple weeks after the bye week where things really started to change around. The offense started to change around and the defense started to change around dramatically. You know what I mean? So, I mean, look, if this is the new thing, then I'm perfectly okay with it. The Eagles want to hire an offensive coordinator that's willing to work with a quarterback where the quarterback has a lot of say in what they do. And if there are other OCs out there that are saying that's my playbook and my rules, they don't want to hire a guy like that because Nick wants to be involved in what's going on in the offense too. So I completely get it. If this is even true, I mean, LaShawn McCoy said it on air, so I'm guessing it is true. I would hope he wouldn't lie about this. That's really the news on, that Jalen Hurts might be more involved than we know of. And then that's it. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. And make sure you like the video because it helps out tremendously. And you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, shakes what up, follow side. Peace out, guys. Peace up. Peace.